What's happening, guys? All right, I got a question from a viewer. Actually, I ended up meeting him personally at the Rayleigh's Distribution Center in Sacramento. He actually is the one who unloaded my trailer, and he's interested in getting a CDL. I have a good question here. Is Sierra England a good company to, well, I'll kind of break his question up into two. Are they a good company to drive for, and are they a good company to get trained by? All right, so you guys know I have prior experience with Sierra England, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to hate, but I have more firsthand experience there with both running OTR and in a dedicated account there, so I can tell you firsthand what it's like with both running OTR and a dedicated fleet there, both as just a regular driver and as a trainer as well. So, Alex, I'm going to cover your question as much as I can. The simple answer that I'm going to give you is. If you talk to a lot of drivers, they're going to say no. Sierra England is not a good company to drive for or to get trained by, especially. However, now with that, I'm going to say that who has the better reputation? It is Prime Incorporated out of Springfield, Missouri. But here's the problem that you can run into. It doesn't matter what name's on the side of that company, that truck or trailer, your mileage is going to vary. So most people who have experience getting trained by Sierra England and running for Sierra England, they're going to tell you they hate it. Now, I will tell you on the OTR side, I'm not a fan in the least bit of how they do things. Training, again, your mileage will vary. Okay, they have a very short CDL school that you can get your CDL through for free in exchange for a contract period, kind of like I mentioned, I think, in person. Now, their CDL school, at least when I went, was about 3 weeks long. I do about a week of academics and then another week of just yard training where you're just learning how to do the straight backing, offset backing, parallel parking. And then with you being in California like me, you'll also be having to do the 90-degree alley dock. Now, there is something different here between when I got my CDL and what's going on now, though. I want to say it was 2022. Could be wrong on the year, but I want to say 2022, they started what's called entry-level driver training, or ELDT program. So I'm going to sound outdated with my experiences here. So, and I don't know enough about what exactly gets covered in ELDT. I don't really know if Sierra England's training program is any better under ELDT than it was when I got my CDL through them when ELDT did not exist. So the idea behind the ELDT is you're supposed to run supposed to run so many hours minimum, and then basically you demonstrate proficiency on a lot of stuff or knowledge on stuff, whatever, before they'll let you have your CDL. That's my understanding of it. But again, it's very rudimentary understanding. I don't have firsthand knowledge of how the ELDT program works. So give you that. All right. So, but I will say my experience there was a lot more positive than most people. Now, I got trained on the OTR side, but my trainer had about 20 years of experience. Got a lot of knowledge and, I already knew a fair amount already with, how to maneuver, how to control the trailer, but backing it up, setting up for your backings is a whole nother animal. You can be great at controlling that trailer, but if your setup is shit, you're just not going to have a good time backing, no matter how good you are at backing. You can even know how to do setups and just mess it up a little bit, and you can turn what should be a real simple, easy backing into, oh God, this is taking 5-10 minutes to do. I don't want to go off too much in the weeds on that though. Okay. So, but I'll just say, my trainer taught me a lot of other good things, like just, some best practices, even when just coupling and decoupling, important stuff to know about like New York and New Jersey, like bridges there are actually a foot taller than they are advertised as. And that actually did come in handy for me one day, when I only had about 4 months of experience, come up on this 12'7" bridge with a 13.6 truck and trailer, and I actually fit. So I wouldn't have even tried that had it not been for him teaching me that info before I actually got in that situation. All right, so OTR life there, for one, the pay is generally not good. At least it wasn't when I was there. And on top of that, they want everybody to run teams, and they do a lot of LTL loads. Less than truckload, like XPO, FedEx, UPS type of loads, hub to hub. And I had a love-and-hate relationship with those loads. If they were ready to go on time, or more so, if they were ready to go before their drop dead time, as we call it, it was great because you could pick the load up as soon as you can get there. and get it rolling, and should have an easy time getting it. And you can drop hook it on both ends. But on the other hand, I'd get to the other end, and a lot of times I drop my loaded and need an empty. Well, guess what? There are no empties because all the trailers they have there are still loaded because they're sitting on them, not doing anything with them for 12 to 24 hours usually. And on top of that, sometimes they have a habit of they don't like this or that company, so they'll intentionally just use their trailers as storage because they don't care. And which sucked for me. I would have to bobtail a lot out of there or I'd either have to wait, I'd have to ask them, well, hey, when will a trailer be ready for me to leave with? And I'd either have to sit and wait, or I'd get sent elsewhere to go find another trailer. Not a fun experience. And what else? A lot of the loads were also ready to go late, so you always felt like you were behind the 8 ball with that. Like just rushed. And if you're tired and you need a nap, well, you don't want to be falling asleep behind the wheel because it's not safe. But you don't want to take a nap either because you're afraid that you stopping because you're too tired to drive is going to cause the load to be late and you end up getting a service failure. I'm not down with that. But now I ran a Walmart dedicated fleet with them as well. Honestly, I made a little bit more on the OTR side as a trainer, but actually the trainer pay wasn't bad. It was pretty decent. But on Walmart dedicated fleet, I made maybe just a tad less, but it didn't have to run nearly as many miles either. OTR was running about 5,500 miles a week or so, 5,000 to 5,500, somewhere around there. Walmart fleet, I was only running maybe 4,500 tops on an average week, and it was a lot less stressful. As a trainer, the other thing I can tell you about this is on the OTR side, you get a lot more variety where I could actually teach things like trip planning, weather planning, and stuff like that I couldn't teach so effectively running Walmart dedicated, because when I ran Walmart dedicated, I always picked up loads out of Colton or Riverside, and almost all my loads, well, majority of my loads went up to Salt Lake City. Okay, I could teach weather planning, but for trip planning, just get on I-15 and go straight up. You don't get on any other highways. You don't have any other planning to do there. The only other real trip planning was planning where your 10-hour breaks are going to be, or wherever stops you're going to have for fuel or 30-minute breaks or whatever. Or once you're off the freeway, how to get to your customer from there. We did a lot of loads up that way to Sacramento as well, or to the Phoenix area, Las Cruces, the Bay Area a little bit, not so much, but it was Reno. That was another one I did a lot. It wasn't so great with the trip planning training. OTR, if you had time to work with, that was a better place for learning the actual trip planning. I'm going to take this or that or whatever highways, or planning your way around weather or something along that line. Here in California, the weather is usually always great or good enough. So what is there for weather planning? Not much. So in that respect, I will say that you can have a good experience there, but odds are you're not going to. I don't want to sit here and talk trash about England and their training program, because like I said, I got trained through them. I paid real close attention to everything they taught me in CDL school, even if it was only 3 weeks, and I did just fine. I had a really good trainer. I had a really good training experience overall there. But when I went to upgrade off my trainer's truck and get onto another truck, there were 12 of us in there, and only 2 of us. One was myself and another guy. We were the only 2 who had anything positive to say about the training experience. The other guy had just nothing but great things to say about his trainer as well, but everybody else went through 2 or 3 different trainers, and none of them were very good. So if you really want a good training experience, take what you can from every source you can, not just who's actually in the truck training you, but be a sponge. Go on Facebook or YouTube or whatever and pick up any little tidbit of information that you can get from any good experienced source, and take it on your own as like what seems the most believable, what makes the most sense, and go with that. All right, that's my best advice. Now, if you want a reputable company to get trained by, most drivers will suggest you go to Prime Incorporated. So, but like I said, your mileage will vary. I have a friend who got trained there and did not like his experience. So there is that, right? Just be forewarned. Just figure out what works best for your own needs. I would highly recommend also, home time is an important thing. You live in the Sacramento area, you might want to consider that. What company is actually going to get you home to Sacramento when you need to be there, or when you want to actually be there? I can tell you when I ran with Cedar England on the OTR side, yeah, it was easy because, well, somewhat easy because, especially on a team speed truck, I often ran loads from Fremont, Indiana, or maybe New Columbia, Pennsylvania, the XPO facilities there, to the XPO facility over right there in Sacramento off of 47th Street. There are some customers also in that area, some other customers in that area that they do stuff with, but I don't know. I'd say they do a heck of a lot in California in general on the OTR side there. It was always hard for me to get to Southern Cal on the OTR side with them, but even though you can come down this way and see tons of England trucks down here, but the problem is most of the England trucks you see down here are all on dedicated fleets. You don't see so many OTR trucks down here, or you might see a bunch that you think are OTR but are actually dedicated. So keep that in mind, all right? Prime, they run a lot in the east, if I'm not mistaken. They do run, you'll see them a lot in California as well. I don't know how much I'd say I'd see them in Sacramento, but something to consider. You work there at Raley's, you might want to think about, if you want to, if getting home a lot is important to you, or getting home reliably is important to you, what mega companies are you unloading there a lot? Or even, not even mega companies, but even somewhat decent sized companies that actually have training programs. It's a lot of research I recommend you do. Now, you're going to have people who are going to say, only go for these smaller whatever companies. There's two problems here. One, just because they're smaller doesn't make them any better. And two, a lot of them have insurance policies that I think you and I talked about in person. A lot of them won't hire you if you don't have at least 2 or 3 years of experience, because the insurance won't allow them to hire you for that. So that's something more food for thought there. Okay, something else with the smaller companies. Some people will say, you'll get better training with them. No, not necessarily. Here's a good case in point. I had one time, I think with JCT, I had picked up a load in, I want to say Wallula, Washington. And then I took it, the Tyson plant up there, and I took it over to the pilot in Stanfield, Oregon to scale it. When I got through scaling, and then I went and parked so I could go walk inside to go get my skill ticket. And on my way into across the fuel island, there was a guy there in the last lane of the fuel island. He asked me for help with sliding tandems, and it was his first load ever. It turned out he was with a small company from right there in Pendleton, Oregon, which is just a hair east of where we were at. And all they did was threw them in the truck. Hey, if you need to slide tandems, these are the weights or whatever you need, like 250 pounds per hole. But like, if you got 6-inch hole pattern, that 250 pounds per hole is not going to do you any good. It's not the right number to be working with. They didn't teach him anything about how to actually slide the tandems. I had to actually sit there and teach him how to do it. And it took a little bit because he did it wrong, because he's never done it before. He didn't even get trained in where the hell did you get your CDL from? Why are these guys just setting you free like that? That's just setting you up for failure. It's real easy to have a backing accident or a turning accident, whether you're at an intersection or even in a truck stop. Ask how many drivers have actually been hit while being parked on the end spot in a truck stop, while someone comes around the side of them and just runs right into them because they forget that they're in a truck that, hey, swing right, it's a fucking trailer. All right, so I've seen it personally happen too. I think I'd mentioned even I had a trainee on my truck once who had 15, 20 years of driving experience, something like that, about 20 years, something like that. And he prided himself on never having been in an accident before. I'm driving, he's driving, and we're coming around the backside of a bunch of trucks that he were going to end up parking next to. And I had to stop him from running our trailer into the back of the trailer of the guy he wanted to park next to. It's that easy to have a mishap in a truck, right? If your head is not on a swivel, looking at every detail you can, and going as slow as if you have to go slow to make sure you don't miss a detail, then do it. That's what's going to keep you out of trouble. I don't care what name's on the side of the truck, all right? The pay, just plan on it being kind of probably on the shitty side if you're, regardless, if you're starting out. But, once you get your feet wet and kind of get a better feel for, or, learn a lot more about what works, what's important to you. Because that's the other thing is, what's important to you might not be important to somebody else, or what's important to somebody else might not be so important to you. There are a lot of drivers out there who insist that they can't they can't fathom why anybody would want to do anything but local work. But honestly, I've done local work before. I'm doing it again, but in that Walmart fleet, local routes I hated. The entire 14-hour clock would get used up. Didn't really have much, really any time to rest. OTR. I just like the lifestyle more personally. It was, even though I'm married and have kids, but it's and it doesn't hurt to get some experience either. Some people might decide they like better. You might like LTL work better than swing door work, or you might rather do tanker stuff or whatever. It's going to take time for you to figure out and listen to every source you can on what's really the best for your needs, because what's great for someone else or what's shitty for someone else, you might not have the same experience with, right? That's all I got. Hope that covers plenty of what we can. And let me know if you have any other questions on that. Of course, I'll definitely be glad to help guide you as much as I can down a good path, right? Y'all have a great day. If you guys have any other questions, please ask. All right, have a good day.